The other day, a Moroccan guy at my gym was mad. He walked in, had some papers in his hand, and he was pissed off. I know how it is. Bureaucracy will do that to anyone. The Moroccan guy had just come from his consulate, he said. The criminal background check he had asked for was too expensive. "Do they think I'm rich?" he asked, talking to no one in particular. He sat down on a weight bench and showed the top paper on the stack to another guy, who I suspect is ethnically Moroccan himself. It seems a bit impolite to ask for some reason. The other guy glanced at it and said, "Bah, it's €4." That was the first day of the Spanish government's mass regularization, a controversial measure meant to legalize immigrants who have been in Spain since December 2025 or longer. Estimates say there could be 500,000 people ready to become regular with the new royal decree. My guess is it's more. And apparently, the guy at my gym is one of them, although he speaks good Spanish and seems to have been around for a while. I often walk past the Moroccan consulate in Poblano, and these days it's surrounded by a huge crowd, probably people waiting for the same background check. According to the news, something similar is happening at the Pakistani consulate across town, and yesterday I read that the Gambian embassy in Madrid had been attacked by a few dozen migrants who were fed up after days of waiting in line for the necessary documents. The Moroccan consulate usually has police standing around to keep order. There are officially 1.2 million Moroccans in Spain, although I suppose nobody knows how many are here without papers. Elsewhere, people are sleeping on cardboard outside associations for migrants, waiting overnight for a certificate of vulnerability. That's one of the documents accepted by the government as a reason for regularization. You can show that you have a job or a job offer, that you're living with family, or that you're in a situation of social vulnerability. That's what the certificate is supposed to prove. The immigrant associations on their end complain that they have no idea what the government wants them to do. How should they be certifying people's vulnerability exactly? And isn't being an undocumented migrant vulnerability enough? What more do they need to prove? Of course, if you're in Spain without papers, you should consult a lawyer about all this. Don't go to the immigration office saying you read about the process on some blog. Hey everybody, it's Daniel. Welcome back to Spain to Go, the best podcast in the entire multiverse for all things Spain. This is episode 139. It's about Spain's mass regularization. Shout out today to my friend Roberto at continentalis.eu. Roberto is an immigration lawyer. He'll do anything you need immigration-wise. And he's offering a discount to listeners and readers. If you just say my name, Daniel, when you sign up, you will get a discount on your services. I will also get a small commission. That's one of the ways that you can support my podcast. I will appreciate it very much. Go to continentalis.eu to get in touch. The spelling is continental, just the normal word continental, IS. IS stands for Immigration Services. So altogether it's continentalis.eu. I've known Roberto for I think around 8 or 9 years since he first came to Spain. He's American, he speaks perfect English, and he's doing all the immigration processes over at continentalis.eu. He did my Spanish nationality, actually, which I got last year. It was not easy, but he got it done eventually. Also, over at continentalis.eu, his friend Joanne is doing the background checks, the fingerprinting, birth certificates, sworn translations, the apostille of The Hague, etc. I got all of it done because you need it for Spanish nationality. There's some things that you need for other bureaucratic processes as well. Getting a background check from the FBI in a limited amount of time with a sworn translation and apostille of The Hague is quite difficult. I had one of my immigration processes back in the day fall through because I couldn't get it. Sending my mother out to the Arizona Secretary of State's office to get an apostille of The Hague was not a great experience for her either. So just talk to continentalis.eu. Roberto or Joanne will help you out. Mention my name, Daniel, and you will get a discount. And a final note, the last time I checked their website, it did not reflect all of the things that they do. So you need to get in touch to find out. I'm pretty sure they'll do almost any immigration service that you need here in Spain. Once again, continentalis.eu. My name, Daniel, will get you a discount. Thank you very much. Back to Spain's mass regularization of immigrants. Is this a popular policy here in Spain? Turns out it's not. The regularization was passed by royal decree, which means it didn't go through a parliamentary debate, and it's seemingly not very popular among the electorate. A news site called El Debate claims that only around 27% of Spanish residents are in favor of the regularization. Another site, El Español, gives similar numbers, having surveyed Spaniards with the right to vote. So apparently we are mostly against it. And as I wrote recently, a lot of people already dislike Pedro Sánchez and his leftist coalition government for various reasons. That's episode 134 if you'd like to take a look, or have a listen would probably be more accurate. Opinions about Pedro Sánchez aside, there are certain aspects of the new law that make it even more controversial. For one, El Español reports that inmates waiting for trial are now being offered their papers while still in prison. Some have been accused of serious crimes, but we're all innocent until proven guilty here in Spain. That's Article 24 of the Constitution. It's called Presunción de Inocencia. One can hope that the prisoners given papers will later be expelled if convicted of their alleged crimes, but it seems unlikely. El Mundo reports that not many people are actually sent home once they're in Spain. Links to all of these articles are on my website, expatmadrid.com. Look for the mass regularization article and you can find where I'm getting my information. Another controversial thing about the mass regularization is that rollout has been quite chaotic. Apparently, government funcionarios were informed about the measure by email late in the afternoon the day before the decree took effect. The already overwhelmed immigration workers don't really know what to do or how they're going to get through all the applications in time. Meanwhile, scams abound. People are selling appointments for the Padrón, that's the official registry of inhabitants that you're supposed to sign up for if you live in any Spanish city. People are also selling appointments at the immigrant associations to get the certificate of vulnerability, and they're selling appointments at the post office to put in all the papers. Sometimes these appointments will run you hundreds of euros. The government has tried to make it clear that every part of the process should be free, but obviously the people making the laws have never spent time trying to get an appointment with their local immigration office. A quick aside about the Padrón. This is just a census-type registry of people living in Spain. You sign up when you move to a city. So I've been signed up here in Barcelona since 2017 or whatever it is. Before that, I was signed up in Madrid. It's supposed to be simple. If you live somewhere, you have a mortgage or a rent contract, or at the very least, a paper from your landlord saying that you are renting a room. In reality, a lot of landlords these days are trying to cheat on their taxes or something, and they don't let people sign up for the Padrón. In theory, this shouldn't even be a thing, because my understanding is that it is the right and duty of a person living in Spain to sign up for this. Your landlord's opinion about it does not really matter. But people don't know their rights. It's all very confusing if you're living in a new country. A lot of people are living in rather precarious situations where they might end up homeless if they anger their landlord. So there's a lot of ways that it can go wrong. Also, I've heard that the people at City Hall might be a little bit arbitrary in what documents they're accepting. Anyway, you shouldn't have to pay for any of this, and you should definitely not need a lawyer to get the padrón. Everybody should just get it. But there's always someone around who's willing to exploit people's ignorance and confusion upon moving to a new country. So be careful out there. As I have probably mentioned before, Spanish bureaucracy is difficult. So you may be wondering about my opinion on Spain's mass regularization of immigrants. As a newly minted Spaniard with a right to vote myself, I can't say I'm against regularizing immigrants, but that's probably more about my personal biases than anything else. Personally, I came to Spain about 22 years ago and overstayed a tourist visa. That made me illegal, or at least irregular. I worked under the table in Madrid and walked around the block to avoid police anytime I could. Being able to become regular after several years of living in Spain is one of the best pieces of luck I have ever had. And I try to imagine that most immigrants like myself just want to work, pay taxes, and become useful members of society. Of course, I also think that talking about immigrants as if there were one united group of people is sort of stupid. There are millions of foreign-born people living in Spain, and they're here for a variety of reasons. Not all are attempting to be good citizens either. So I don't know. I hate Pedro Sánchez as much as the next guy, but I'm okay with this law, despite its several problems. I talked more about immigration in Spain in my article Mass Migration Madness. That is episode 130 of the podcast, if you would like to take a look. I've also got a few episodes about my nationality process and the immigrant hustle. It's been quite an interesting 22 years. Those other articles and podcast episodes go more in depth about immigration, about the struggle with bureaucracy, about life as a foreign-born person just trying to become a Spaniard. There's a lot there, so check that out. One of the big questions about the mass regularization remains: what will this do to the economy? After a couple of good years, the Spanish economy had some bad news last week. Unemployment jumped in the first quarter, inflation is up, and it looks like the growth outlook for 2026 is worse than expected. The housing situation isn't getting better either. Meanwhile, the two major political parties each have people on trial for corruption. Yes, Caso Coldo is back, and so is the long-forgotten Caso Kitchen. Those are the week's top news stories. Immigration wasn't really on Spaniards' political radar for a long time. Then suddenly it was. And summer is coming, which means it's tourist and mass protest season. Should be fun. That's about all I've got for today. I hope you're doing well out there. Stay regular and check out the other immigration-themed episodes of this podcast. While we're on the topic, I think the most important one that I've ever written, at least my favorite thing that I have ever written, is episode 114. It's called Immigrant Life, the Truth About Living Abroad, or something along those lines, episode 114. It actually is a recap of 20 years of my immigrant struggle, as well as the struggle of my wife, Morena, who came from a completely different background in a developing country. We are both now happily installed in Spain, but it hasn't been easy. So if you want to know the real story behind all of this, check that out, episode 114. Like I said at the beginning, you should definitely talk to my friend Roberto over at continentalis.eu. That's continentalis.eu, but it's all written together as one word, continentalis.eu. They'll do all the immigration stuff that you might need, from your fingerprints to your background check, to your birth certificate, apostille of The Hague, sworn translations of anything you need, and the full process. If you're trying to get a digital nomad visa, a non-lucrative visa, Spanish nationality in whatever way you're hoping to do it, talk to them. Continentalis.eu. Mention my name, Daniel, and you will get a discount. If you would like to support this podcast in some other way, you could give me a review on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts. I think you can just give me a number of stars. I recommend the maximum number of stars possible on Spotify. Over on Apple Podcasts, I think you can write a little bit. So whatever you're comfortable with, it helps. You could also go to expatmadrid.com/donate and donate some money to this podcast. expatmadrid.com/donate. I will give you a shout out in a future episode. You can choose any amount from 10 euros on up to however much you want. You can also subscribe monthly. I don't have a premium podcast or anything for monthly subscribers. This is the podcast. I do this for free in my spare time, and I am infinitely grateful for the people who have supported me over the years. expatmadrid.com/donate for that. You could also go over to YouTube and check out my videos. Learn Spanish with Daniel is the name of my channel. If you just put in Learn Spanish with Daniel into the YouTube search, you will find it. You could also probably just put Learn Spanish with Daniel into a general Google search, but there'll be a few ads for, I don't know, other guys named Daniel probably. Either way, I'm the guy with the ginger beard, and I have about 150 videos, I think, for people wanting to learn Spanish. Check those out. Also free, I don't really have anything to sell you. You can learn some Spanish real estate vocabulary. My last 2 videos over there are about real estate and mortgage vocabulary in case you're hoping to move to Spain and buy a flat. So, learn Spanish with Daniel. You could follow me on Instagram. Look for Daniel Welsh. That's WELSCH. You can get in touch on any of these platforms if you would like. Nada más por hoy. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are in the world. From beautiful Barcelona. Hasta la próxima. Bye.